Hey guys, Bicebump here, bringing another The War Within pre-patch video on the Frost Death Knight. Today we're taking a look at dual-wield Obliteration Mythic Plus, because this is honestly incredibly strong at the moment. I think, probably on par with two-hander, potentially better even, and especially if you don't have legendary, like this is going to be your new go-to Mythic Plus build. And once we go into The War Within, we lose legendary, this is probably going to be what you always play in Myth Plus. We like to have a two-hand alternative as well, but this is looking like the strongest build out there. You might be running away. Hang on. What happened? So two-hander has been dominating Myth Plus for so long. Why is suddenly dual-wield doing well here? What's going on? Is this the new breath build? It's not, by the way. Don't worry. So the reason is, right, previously, a lot of your damage came from your Decay cleave windows. You pop your pillar, you put it on a Decay, it made your Obliterate cleave to 3 targets, you had your killing machines doing insane damage, and that was like the majority of your damage coming through. Now this was great for two-hander, due to the fact that we have Might of and Wasters, which means that two-hander weapons just by default deal more damage with Obliterate. And that just carried them in overall, which meant that they just did more damage. Now, so what changed? So why is dual-wield suddenly much better now, compared to what it was previously? Well, we have a lot of new talents here that work out nicely with dual-wield weapons, primarily due to the fact that they deal damage using the auto attacks. Furthermore, like the portion of your damage coming from these Decay cleave windows is much lower, specifically the Obliterate part, and that means that the benefit of running two-hander is now smaller. Couple talents that now, are important to mention. We have Icy Death Torrent. It works off your auto attack crits to deal damage in front of you. That's a really big chunk of your current damage, so it might be actually too strong, but that works really nicely with dual wield. We also have things like the Long Winter, which prolongs your pillar windows based off your crit auto attacks. Again, works well nicely with dual wield. And furthermore, we have Arctic Assault, which is what you get for your killing machines using Glacial Advance. And again, that moves damage away from just raw killing machine oblit damage into like generic, right? This doesn't scale off your obliterate damage specifically region, right? That's the kind of reason. So dual wield really does work nicely. Oh, one final thing. We also have a solution to the fact that we have 2 Rune Forges. Right, that wasn't great previously with dual wield Obliteration. You would run like double Fallen Crusader because there wasn't a good second option. However, in the War Within, we now have Razorized possibilities because we run things like Shattered Blade and Shattered Frost, where you essentially you burst your Razorized stacks to deal damage both on the target itself and everything around it. So Frost Strike ends up being your Rune Power AoE spender, and you use it by bursting these 5 stacks of Razorized. That's how it works. Playing with this, it's honestly really fun. It's very much lots of procs coming through. Dual wield does get more natural killing machine procs than two-hander, so you get a bit more fast-paced playstyle, and also you get to track your Razorized stacks to make sure you burst them properly with your Frost Strike. And there's a couple like advanced bits where you tab through your targets to burst your Razorized stacks and those kind of things. We'll get into that in the kind of like the rotation section, but that's the main part of it. One thing I do want to mention is that Rime procs are very much deprioritized using this build. Like, it's not very often you use them because you're pretty much always going to press Frost Strike to burst those stacks of Razorized, and that's kind of vibe. Now, what are the talents, right? I haven't even looked at them. I got them up here, right, over there in the corner, right? So, as I said before, we go all the way and picked up Arctic Assaults. We get a lot of natural killing machine procs, and we get a lot of killing machine procs from your Pillar Frost windows with Obliteration, right? And that's going to be a good chunk of damage. Just these killing machines, when you consume them, you get Glacial Advance, and that deals a lot of damage. We also go all the way down into the auto attack bit of the tree. So this is picking up the stuff that both makes your auto attack crits cleave in front of you. Be aware of that when you do damage to a pack, that you actually stand there properly and you hit everything with those cleave attacks. Ice Death Torrent, and then we have the Long Winter, which means that your crit autos prolong your Pillar Frost window, and that's also great. More Killing Machine procs, you get more cleaves and more damage. Really strong talent. Right, and then one step further to the right, we do all the kind of Razorize talents. So both your standard, bursting Razorize stacks to deal big single target damage, but also the addition of doing big AoE damage when you do this. Other than this, I do pick up, I think I pick up Absolute Zero. I don't think I do actually, no, never mind. There's a couple of options you can go for here. We have Cryogenic Chamber. There's a couple of things that kind of sim close to each other, I'd say, where you can optionally swap out your Frostman's Fury for something else, like Cryogenic Chamber or things. But generally, there aren't that many options when it comes to actual talent choices. Same thing in your the class tree. This is kind of like a set the stone build. You can obviously, a lot of things here aren't like really important to use, but usually this is kind of like what you'll go for, which is the maximum kind of personal defensive build. Yeah, those are talents. Now let's talk about the rotation. So what's your goal here? What do you want to do? Well, in general, if you have a Killing Machine procs, you always want to consume that as your top priority, right? We'll talk a little bit about how to set that up properly in your Oblit window, but that's the general vibe. Always consume your Killing Machine procs. If you have 5 stacks of Razorize on your target, which you will have very often, you stack them really quickly, you want to press Frost Strike as your next priority, and then you only want to use Rime if you can't do any of those two. So Rime, obviously it stacks up Razorize on target, we have Avalanche, and then it also deals a good chunk of damage. But in general terms, it's going to be Obliterate and Frost Strike most of the time. Now, we also have your Obliterate window and your Deafening K usage. Obliteration essentially means that you pop Pillar, and that means that your Frost Strikes and Howling Blasts trigger Killing Machine procs. And you want to use that to just generate and consume as many of them as possible. I'm going to skip this bit right here because I'm actually dying due to the slow fall, so we're going to get rest. All right, and then we are back on track. All right. So I was saying, during your Pillar, generate and consume as many Killing Machine procs as possible. The general vibe here is that you're going to get so many Killing Machines that you're going to stack up your Razorize stack really quickly. So you're essentially going to go Obliterate, Frost Strike, Obliterate, Frost Strike, and so on. It's not quite that, because just a single Obliterate doesn't get you to 5 stacks of Razorize generally. So you want to be, if you want to be really good at this, what you would do is you tab through the targets, because you're going to be applying Razorize and AoE with your Glacial Advances anyway. So you're going to hit one target, after you hit your Frost Strike, you're going to tab target the next one, and then you can do that kind of weaving where you do Obliterate, Frost Strike, Obliterate, Frost Strike, and so on. And then every single Frost Strike then consumes 5 stacks, right? You can see here, I'm in a target of 3 stacks. Oops, I die. That's not ideal. Just jump through here. Not my best dungeon. There we go. If you're in a pack, you should ideally do during Pillar. It's easier to do it outside of Pillar though. It's just that you tab through all the targets. It means that you much more efficiently burst the Razorize stacks, and you can do that much more often, right? That's the vibe we're going for. And we have another thing, like we have Mortis Winter, use that on cooldown pretty much all the time. Not towards the end of packs, because you need to get like a full duration for it to be worthwhile. But generally that would just be press and cooldown. Same thing with Abomination Limb. Empowering Weapons, save that for your Pillar windows. You're going to have to wait for like 15 seconds to line them up, but that's completely fine. Now, when we enter a pack, what you want to do is you want to go in, you want to use your Abomination Limb as for first GCD if you have it, follow up with your Mortis Winter, then you press your Pillar macro. I talked about these. Pillar macros essentially generate a Killing Machine proc as quickly as possible when you enter your Pillar window. You macro Pillar plus like Howling Blast or Pillar plus Frost Strike, and it means that when you press that macro, there is absolutely no delay from activating Pillar to generating that first Killing Machine proc. That's how it works. Anyways, you do that, you go to 2 Killing Machine procs, you pop down Deafening K, and then you go into your cleaving, right? That's the kind of vibe you're going for. And as I said, the main bit is consume your Killing Machines as quickly as possible. Oh god, I'm dying all the time here. Consume your Killing Machines as quickly as possible. Hit Frost Strike if you have 5 stacks of Razorize, and Howling Blast if you have neither of those two, which is not going to be very often. So just be wary of the fact that you won't be using your Rune very often, right? That's a main point with this build. If you have Frost and Fury, you want to use that in your pillar windows in AoE. Important is, you know, it's quite good to save to the last couple of seconds, because then your Deafening K has finished anyway. Especially if you've gotten a couple of procs of your Long Winter, you know. Deafening K buff is 14 seconds, but pillar is up to 18. So it's a good idea to kind of use it towards the end when you won't be cleaving with your Blitz anyway. You can also opt to just track your Fallen Crusader and make sure you time it with the Fallen Crusader to get like the most amp from that big dragon. You might remember this, but Pillar doesn't actually amp up in the strength gain anymore. Like, it used to do that for a long time, but now it's a standard flat crit percentage. No, not crit. Strength percentage all the time. So, you know, don't actually need to think about, oh, I want to use the final GCD because then it's amped up the most. That's not a thing anymore, right? Don't worry about that. Okay, so that's the rotation. I would say it's quite simple. The most important things is, as I mentioned, stack up double Killing Machine in your pillar window before you pop down your Deafening K. Keep track of your Race Right stacks and then burst them with Frost Strike all the time. You can't do Oblit Frost Strike. That's not efficient unless you tab through targets. That's the only way you're actually going to be able to generate 5 stacks of Race Rice before you burst them with your Frost Strike. We have a standard pack here, you see there. Double Obliterate, go into your cleaving. You can see there, that actually did do Oblit Frost Strike. I think it matters a little bit depending on your kind of your main hand hitting, right? How you can do it. It's quite common to starve a little bit in your pillar window. Don't worry about that. That happens. You obviously, you know, you will generate a lot of runes because hitting Frost Strike in your pillar is more rune efficient than Howling Blast. Like, there's a higher probability to generate a rune. So you usually won't starve, but something will happen. That's normal. Don't worry about it. When it comes to gear and things, I think ideally you probably want to run something like the Pips and Ashes. Ashes specifically is really good for this build because it synergizes well with a Power Rune weapon. So every time you use a Power Rune weapon, you use Ashes and you get this really big burst window. Other than that, you know, I'm running double passive here, but I don't think it's the most optimal. I quite like it when you go into a pack, you hit your Frost Strike, and then get a natural Killing Machine procs, because that means that you can then do double Killing Machine and then do a Frost Strike, and then you're guaranteed to get 5 stacks of Razor Ice. But as I said, you really should be tab targeting. You can see in this pack, you know, specifically, everything is going to have 5 stacks of Razor Ice on it, except your main target that you just consumed it on. So if you just tab properly, you can then very efficiently use all your Frost Strikes and pretty much ignore Howling Blast. You still want to use Howling Blast towards the start because you want everything to have your Frost Fever on them. But when you go into the weaving, ideally you don't want to press that unless you have to. Alright, so I think that's kind of like the bit of this video, which is guidey. We chatted about the viability, we chatted about dual-wield versus two-hander, all the kind of things, the rotation, talents you can pick, you know. So let's just have a look at the rest of this run, have some commentary, talk about like my cooldown usage and that kind of thing. But honestly, it's really easy as Frost DK, just use it, use stuff as soon as they come up. That's the kind of general vibe we're going for. We enter a pack of 2. You can see I'm going to do some tab targeting here to make my Frost Strikes efficient. So Frost Strike that guy, swap to the other guy, Frost Strike him, and they get more efficient. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Historia usage. There we go. Tab, Frost Strike, tab, Frost Strike. And honestly, the Frost Strikes, they do hit really hard. So, you know, doing that is a big gain. Alright, we've got a Deafening Cave window coming through. Man, I love the fact that Cleaving Strikes now last for 4 seconds after you exit Deafening K. It means that you can be just much more flexible when you deal damage when stuff is moving, that kind of thing. I can say this was like literally the first dungeon I did with dual-wield Frost. So apologies for any mistakes I make here that don't necessarily match up with what I'm saying in my guide. I did like 800k-ish overall, maybe a bit lower. You can definitely do above 1 million, no problem here. Zorvold isn't like the biggest overall dungeon. If you do something like Brackenhide or Academy, right, you would expect to do a lot more damage. Make a small mistake here, the boss is going to jump away soon, so I lose out a lot of my pillar. Remember, pillar is not 12 seconds anymore. It will generally go to 18, especially if you run dual wield. You get a lot more procs there from your quick auto attacks, right? It's going to do is up to 0. We're standing here protecting ourselves. I can feel that dual wield, like Frost in general, is really tanky. We have so much tanky spells that, you know, get some good value. Good value. We can generally not die from random stuff unless you really mess up. As you could see this run, I did mess up. So, a note on Frostwind's Fury and single target, like it's not worthwhile to send it in your pillar. So just wait until the pillar's over and then you send it. It's just to it's just the fact that spending GCDs in your pillar is really important on like killing machines and general killing machines. So it's an opportunity cost to use your Frostworm. So just send that afterwards. You get your what's that called? You know, the strength bit you get after your pillar finishes. I can't remember the name of the talent, but you know. Anyway, we're doing quite well with this guy. A good thing about this build is that it's really quite close to your best single target dual-wield build, which means that, you know, you can do really well on bosses as well as trash. I think that's one of the benefits of playing Frost, that you don't have to pick AoE or single target. You do both of them at the same time. I know the other classes can do that as well, but that's generally a good thing about Frost DK. My pillar macros aren't working properly here because I'm used to using Laser Advance on my number 6 keybind, so I'm messing up a little bit there. But oh well. As I said, pretty much the first key I did with Duel with Frost, and honestly, I've very much enjoyed it. So I think I'm gonna be streaming a bit more and just having a good time dealing some really chunky damage. I'm sure I'll put out videos where I can, you know, I get 1.5 billion overall, and you see that by going, wow, that's cool. This one, not so impressive, but also it's a plus 14, so I think you need to go to like plus, if you want to do the really big overalls, you need to go into like plus 20s or whatever. Overall damage distribution, you can see up here. I hope. I can't remember if I actually saved that, so I hope it's up there. And you will see how much of the damage comes from stuff that isn't Obliterate, and that's the reason why two-hander isn't as, you know, dominant anymore. And dual-wield is the go-to build essentially in the war within, not during the alpha, because we still have stuff like the legendary that really help out a lot with boosting the damage here. Also, I died there as well. I remember that. Need to dodge this off, man. Anyway, it gives you a good understanding of why this is now good, and is, you know, due to damage distribution being completely different, and due to us having a good alternative Runeforge, which is the Rune Erase Rise, because we can stack up your Erase Rise stacks really quickly, which gives really good value with Shattered Blade and Shattered Frost. Alright, we are really killing this guy quickly. I leverage my Deafening K here to get some good cleave on the crystals. Want to kill this hardened crystal first. Takes damage on everyone, so make sure it doesn't kill us. But the Frost definitely will really do well in that kind of scenario. Like Frost DK on 3 target cleave is just, you know, a banger. I think what I was trying to do here, I was holding my dragon. I'm gonna use that. There we go. Get some nice AoE damage. I run straight through that, you know, orb, which would have probably killed me if I wasn't a Frost DK. But you know. Anyway, this dungeon is about to end. Let me know down in comments. Are you enjoying dual-wield Frost DK? You finding it fun? You know, excited about it? I definitely enjoy the playstyle, and I can't wait to play some more dual-wield Obliteration. So fast-paced, and man, the damage is really there, so I'm a fan. Leave a comment down below, upvote, downvote, consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.